Hey, Chad Imhoff here, the EFT Guy, part of the Success and Vulnerability team. Wanted to take just a couple minutes and share some thoughts from our group this morning that was, I think, excellent. It was the topic of grief this morning, and one of the supervisees came in and said, hey, what does it mean to grieve well, to do grief right, to really move through grief in a succinct and good way? And honestly, grief is such a broad topic that I was like, that's a lot, but I'll try to put it to some words. So let's just dive into this. Grieving well, what it means to me anyway, is that I can dive into and stay in the depths of every piece of the relational loss. Whenever I lose someone or something that is dear to me, there are good and bad parts of all of them. So whether that's my favorite things about my grandmother who passed away a few years ago, like the way that she had energy and spunk and was always kind of fiery, or if it's the fact that, she smoked for a long time and that's probably what caused cancer to show up in her body. How did I address that with her? You can see how these different pieces may not get covered in our traditional conversations around the dinner table. And that's why grief becomes complicated. So I want to make sure as a therapist that I go into and explore as many pieces of the grief or of the relationship as I can. The next thing I said is we don't want to stay in a cognitive place with that. I don't want just a list of the good and the bad things about grandma. I want to sit in the hurt. So these things that you didn't get to tell grandma, how does that impact you now? What does that bring up for you in this moment? What do you long to or wish you could have said to grandma? Or as you think about what you're going to miss, how does that impact you? She's not going to be at Christmas. And so how does that affect you in this moment? I'm really trying to get into the hurt and the loss in this moment. I'm trying to tune into their physical, their lived body experience as much as I can when we start talking about these places. As I tune in and understand what those hurts are and the parts that and what kind of where they're rooted, I can start to label them. Oh, this is around that hurt, and not doing that means that maybe you feel bad about this, or you have some responsibility around grandma's smoking or something, which we can start to help them kind of make sense of or understand or even label and maybe even fight some of the discrepancy that they might feel around that. Well, that doesn't make sense. She quit smoking 20 years ago. It just stuck with her, or whatever the thing is. But if we don't label it in some way, if we don't make sense of it, then we can't understand it, and they don't have much they can do with it. That's where the idea of placing the loss in categories, the good, the bad, my part, their part, those sorts of categories become really useful when we start to think about what intervention am I going to use, how am I going to use it, and what would we like to say, and what does need to be expressed to our loved one that we didn't get a chance to in that context. And then, developing this ability to engage with grief and then also put it away, I think really is rooted in connecting mind and body. So our body, in my opinion, when we're grieving, is saying, ow, this hurts. This isn't good. Do you realize how bad this is? Our subconscious is maybe even somewhat aware of our own humanity in these moments. We have lost something that's important, and it is scary because it's gonna happen to everything. Eventually life ends. And so our body goes, oh my gosh, are you paying attention? Are you handling your relationships properly? Are you discussing things that need to be discussed? Are you grieving with people that need to be grieved with? And are you even celebrating and enjoying these moments with the people that are around you? So as we start to do that, our body goes, oh, I can trust you that you will engage with the grief. I like to say on some time frame. So it's not just nebulous, but we engage maybe weekly with grief. And then our body goes, oh, I can trust that Chad is going to come make a meeting, an appointment to grieve with me. And so then sometime a song comes on the radio that reminds me of grandma or whatever the thing is that I'm grieving. And my body goes, oh, that hurts. And I go, oh, I know what category that is. That's the sadness around grandma's not going to be at Christmas. And I can go, oh man, I am going to miss her. And that is sad. And I can almost start to validate my own body's sensation. And then my body goes, okay, you know what's wrong. You know why it hurts. And it starts to let me just move forward. It's not that we want to get past grief. It's that we want to be able to engage with it quickly and have our body, our experience, trust that we're going to sit with it. We're not going to dismiss the loss. We're aware of the loss. We can engage with the loss, and we can then move forward. Y'all, I hope this helps you at least conceptually with grief and the idea of grief, and maybe gives you a map of how to move through grief with clients. We get better together, y'all. Thanks for checking this out. If you have any questions, feel free to hit the comment button and leave me a comment. I'd love to engage with you. Have a great week.